going? What is going on with everybody? It is your boy Eric, aka Young God, coming to you live in the Green Dungeon, giving it to you real raw rugged. And I have somebody on the other line. I'm gonna let him introduce herself. Who do we have here today?
Real, raw, and rugged. This is Annabelle. I'm the founder of That Good Shit and a music curator. I'm happy to be here.
So, how are you doing today?
I'm doing amazing. It is a gorgeous day. I'm in Brooklyn right now. The sun is shining. It's 50 degrees, which means it's basically summer. And yeah, I'm feeling good. How are you?
I am doing pretty good. I usually kind of start this on how I discovered the person that I'm interviewing, and I don't even know if you have any clue on who I am. But the reason I know who you are is because you followed me. I don't even know if you remember following me, but you followed me.
I remember seeing your interview with No Name, and I was like, this is cool.
That's what it was. Got you. So after you followed me, I was like looking at your page, and I seen you were doing a bunch of stuff. Because not only do you do interviews, you're creating playlists, you're freaking. I seen you on Instagram Live with Drum the other day, like dancing to his album. I can never do that. I'm way too awkward. Shout out to you for being so comfortable in your skin. You're just jamming out. I would have just been straight face gang the entire time. I am just way too awkward for the people to do that. Are you just like an outgoing, naturally outgoing person?
I wouldn't say I'm like super outgoing. Like I don't really think I'm an extrovert, but when it comes to music, I have like no problem expressing like excitement and like dancing around and being silly. So yeah, I would say I'm outgoing, but I would say that I'm just a silly guy.
I think you might be the nicest person of all time. Like everything I've seen from you,
That's
I'm like you are the nicest human being to ever exist. What's going on here? You're so nice.
I do take pride in being nice. I feel like I've always been like a very optimistic and like kind of gentle tempered person. So that is part of who I am for sure.
And it's funny because you're so nice, and I was like, I hope she doesn't see this story and think that this is directed towards her. Because I did a story the other day on my my Instagram. I'm very infatuated with speech and the way people
Yeah,
speak and the way people enunciate words. And white people have some of the funniest things that they say, and you,
they do.
you say you. I say this all the time, and I was watching an interview you did, and you said it, and I was like, this is the funniest thing of all time. White people when
Wait,
they
which thing was it?
when white people really like something, white people say, "Ah, it's so good. It's so good."
It's so good. It's true. It's just it's so good. Like a
you're
little bit of vocal fry in there too. Like yeah,
you're a big so gooder, and I think that goes back to you just being one of the most positive people of all time. So I just want to say I appreciate the positive energy that you put in the not only just in music, but just I guess in the atmosphere. It's a lot of negative things going around in society, in the world, and I think the last thing we need is somebody being a Debbie Downer, just on life. So just wanted to thank you just for putting that energy out there. I think that's a very positive thing.
thank you, thank you for seeing that, and thank you for saying thank you. I don't know. Yeah, I feel like people value negativity a lot these days, and people will like give you weird looks for being like nice and positive sometimes, but that's just the vibes I want to put out into the world. You know.
I mean, even in music, I feel like somebody will definitely praise up a more negative song versus a more positive song. 'Cause if it's positive, it's like, oh, this is corny. I don't want to hear Chance Rapper talk about his wife. Like, shut up. Talk about cheating on your wife, you nerd. That's
Literally,
what people want to
we
hear.
we want the toxic shit. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, like, I've been having conversations with people. Before we even get to that, let me take a step back because I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself.
Okay.
You growing up in what, the West Coast, correctly?
Yes.
Where exactly?
I grew up near LA. My mom was in Santa Clarita, which is a suburb like 30, 45 minutes north of LA. And then my dad was in Ventura, which is a beach town like an hour and a half north of LA. And then I went to high school in like the Valley. So just all around the LA area.
Where did you go to college?
Yeah, I went to college in Oregon at University of Oregon.
Gotcha. Did you like it there?
I loved it there. I kind of want to move back there one day.
Really?
It's heaven.
Really? What is like? What's going on in Oregon? Like, cause Oregon's in Portland. Only thing I know about Portland is like everybody's like on heroin in Portland. That's kind of my my thought of Portland. I don't know if I'm wrong or not, but it's just everybody's junkies out there.
Not everyone, I would say, like definitely like drug laws out there are really chill.
Yeah.
There's definitely a lot of crazy shit out there. A lot of cults, are started out in Oregon. Lots of cults out there. It's not a very diverse place. It's like largely white people. So that's one of the main reasons why I left. I was like, I need to go somewhere where there's like different points of view and like actually like different people. But the nature.
I just quickly want to say when you say this a lot of white people, I thought you were going to say that's one of the reasons I actually want to go back.
No,
Oh,
no. I mean, I just really love the nature there is unlike anything else. It literally feels like Jurassic Park.
yeah.
Like it's just trees everywhere. The air is so crisp. The water's really clean. The weed out there is really good and really cheap. And it's just like a really, really peaceful place. I'm very into nature. Like I went to college and studied environmental studies, and like my other like love of my life outside of music that people don't really see is like my love for like the environment and nature. So like being there just makes me feel really connected to the earth, and it's really peaceful.
So it's interesting because I do kind of like the nature as well. I knew somebody that went to Oregon, and he was like, like when you're like out somewhere in the streets, in anywhere in the United States, you'll see like leaves on the ground, you'll see straws and stuff like that. He was like, you're definitely very liable to see like heroin needles on the ground and stuff like that. And it seems like a lot is going on out there. I didn't know about the cult thing. There's cults going on out there in Oregon.
Yeah, there's a bunch of like big cults have been started out in Oregon. It's a weird ass place. I mean, they also like technically had like a law, an Oregon state law that didn't get abolished until I think the 80s, that technically black people weren't allowed to own property in Oregon.
Sheesh.
And they abolished that in like the 80s. I think it wasn't really being like no one was adhering to that. But yeah, it has like a history of racism and cults and just a bunch of weird shit. But specifically where I was in Eugene, Oregon is like a college town, and it's cute. Portland's nice. Bend is cute. There's like a lot of beautiful areas, but a large part of the state's like super weird.
Have you ever done any research on like cult leaders and like them being musicians?
No, I haven't, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a trend there.
It is a trend. It's like Marilyn Manson. He was a pretty big musician.
Yeah.
The guy kind of stunk. I'm not gonna lie. He had one song that I think is called like "She Got Game" or something. It's something like that. Actually, kind of hard. But either other than that, Marilyn Manson kind of just stunk. But yeah, there's a
Yeah.
bunch of cult musicians that a bunch of musicians that are cult leaders. It's very interesting. I don't know if there's a thread there or anything like that. But
Yeah.
I had to get in my Nardwar bag because tell me if I'm wrong or not. I could be wrong about this. Did you apply to University of California?
I did. I applied to UC Berkeley, and it was my dream school, and then I
Really?
didn't get in, and I thought my life was over.
Why was Berkeley your dream school?
I just had visited the campus so many times, and I just kind of had like this hyper fixation on it. I watched a lot of YouTubers who would go there, and I had built this. I'm a Pisces, so like my whole world is in my head.
Yeah.
Like my reality is in my brain, and I had this whole world built in my head where I was just so sure that I was meant to go there, and I could picture myself like at school there. I really loved. Again, it's kind of in like the Pacific Northwest, like a similar area to where Oregon is. So I was really attracted to the trees and just like the proximity to nature and like the ecosystems. And I was like really big on school. I was really good at school. I got like mostly all A's. And I just really wanted to go to a school that I thought was like really prestigious. And so I was just like, yeah, I feel like I belong there. And then I didn't get in, and I literally thought that like it was the worst day ever not getting into that school. But in retrospect, I'm really happy I didn't go.
I know the feeling trying to get into a college and that college isn't it happens. But hey, look at you now.
Yeah,
Look at you now. Their
exactly.
loss.
Everything. Yeah, facts. They're lost. My little brother ended up going there, funny enough. And watching him go there, I'm like, damn, that seems really stressful. And I'm really happy I didn't end up going there. Everything happens for a reason. So, especially after that happened and things turned out okay, now whenever I face like a major setback in my life that kind of feels like that, I'm
Yeah.
like, well, everything clearly happens for a reason. So, just gotta roll with the punches.
And you're in Hawaii now, right?
Yeah, I'm in New York.
I think it's a bit of irony that you love nature a lot, and you're like, I'm just gonna move to the shithole in New York because New York sucks. New York also kind
I
of stinks.
Okay, it does not suck. It's amazing here. There's definitely like parks and like pockets of nature, but you gotta look for it. Luckily, I'm able to go home pretty often and like have time in the ocean. Like I'm able to travel a good amount, but that's like the number one thing I miss out here is proximity to nature. It's hard not being as close to it as I'm used to.
You're sitting under a tree with no leaves right now. That place sucks.
It's winter. It is winter.
So okay, so I'm a South guy. I'm from Florida, and
Okay.
it's such a just like it's like a very big cultural what's the word, clash. From going from New York to Florida, you couldn't try to be more different in every single thing. And I get that New York is for some people, just not for me. Like
Yeah,
for
that's
you,
fair.
you enjoy it. For me, I would be
Yeah,
miserable. So I'm glad
you
that
know what's
you
best
enjoy
for
it.
you.
Like,
Yeah.
do you think you could live in Florida? Would Florida be a place you would like to live at?
As a woman, I'm scared to step foot in Florida.
Is that because of what?
Their government and just like the general vibes out there. Every time I see Florida on the news, it's something unsettling. But I will say a lot of my favorite musicians are from Florida. A lot of my favorite people have roots in Florida.
Yeah.
So there's got to be something good there. I haven't been since I was like 2 years old. So maybe I shouldn't hate on it and I should go check it out. But it seems kind of crazy out there. The Florida man could be anywhere trying to take me out at any time.
New York man sounds actually more crazy than Florida man to me. I've heard some crazy stuff about New York, but
You're not wrong. The New York man is also out there on the hunt.
neither here or there. Something interesting about college that I learned about you is that you minored in philosophy.
I did.
Are you just a big philosophical? You got a big philosophical brain. That's probably not a word. But you have a big philosophical brain on you.
I do have a large philosophical brain.
That's
would
what I was going for. That's what I was going for.
I got you. I got you. Yeah, I've always contemplated a lot. I just love sitting in deep thought. Again, like I'm a Pisces. It's part of who I am. I'm just really big on like critical thinking, examining why we think the way we do, just wondering about the world. Like the world is just such a magnificent, complicated place, and the human mind's ability to examine itself is so fucking crazy to me. Yeah. So I really just wanted to delve into that, and it was really cool. I remember like I fell in love with philosophy because I took like this intro. I took like this political philosophy class when I first got to school my freshman year, just kind of randomly. And like I remember reading these texts from these like old guys, like hundreds and hundreds of years before I was born, and I'm like, damn, they're having the same thoughts I've been having, like contemplating about these certain things. So it's cool to be able to connect with people who are hundreds of years older than me and like contemplating the same things I am. So yeah, it's love philosophy.
Gosh, I'm an idiot. What was I trying to say? I know it's philosophical. What was the word I was saying? Philosophical? What the hell was I saying?
Philosophical? I don't know. You were like really close though. You were really close.
That's terrible. I feel like I say this every interview, but this actually applies. I feel like people are like, why does he always say this every interview? But when I'm saying that, it actually applies. I graduated a few months ago with a degree in psychology. And every time we would have to do, like, not every time, but a lot of my homework would definitely involve, like, older people from, like, hundreds of years ago. And a lot of, like, psychological roots also derive from, like, philosophical roots. Because a lot of those, like, older first ever psychologists also deemed themselves philosophers. So, did psychology ever intrigue you at all? Because they're very like tied in. I feel like.
Yeah, they are very tied in. I think that it was more something I just wanted to study for myself because I didn't really want to apply it to a career. I thought about being a therapist for a little bit because I love talking to people about their problems. I'm my friend's therapist. But it's just not something I really felt like I wanted to apply to like a job. I didn't really want to work in medicine. I didn't really want to be a therapist. So I was like, I'd rather just contemplate for the sake of contemplating rather than like delving into a more scientific understanding of like human brain and emotion. Like I just wanted to talk about I don't know, God and like right and wrong and like existentialism and shit like that.
Okay, within the past year, give me a big philosophical thought that you've had that still ponders your brain.
A big philosophical thought I've had that ponders my brain. I think about free will a lot. I'm like, do I really have free will or is my entire life predetermined? Because some shit just happens to me sometimes where I'm like, the universe is playing a sick game and I'm its little pawn. Do I even have free will? And I still don't know the answer to that. I don't know what the fuck's going on.
I used to think about that when I was a kid. I haven't thought about that in a long time. But that's an interesting question. Like what if it is like what if you not because I don't know if multiple people could be living in this. But what if you specifically are just living in like a Truman Show? I don't know if you've ever seen Truman Show before. But what if you
no, for real. I'm like I really don't know. I'm like, is everything even real? Like, am I the only person who's really alive and aware, and everyone else is like a little like simulation. Like, what the fuck is going on, you know? So I think about that all the time. But yeah, I think about free will a lot. I'll sit on the cusp of making a decision, and I'm like, can I really make whatever decision I want right now, or is it already like predetermined by some like grand plan? Um, yeah, I think about that a lot.
I could be a paid actor in your life right now, just
No,
fulfilling the
literally, you
script.
could.
You never know.
Yeah, you never know. But I'm just fucking, it's out of my hands, so I'm just having a good time
It's
regardless.
funny. You say free will. That made me think about because I was just looking at it yesterday. Did you see the clip where Kanye gets approached by the TMZ lady and she asks him, "Does his wife have free will?" You see that?
I didn't see it, but I heard about it.
I think Kanye is not a smart guy, but every time anything paparazzi related, I'm like, he's on the right side of history here.
Yeah,
Being a paparazzi seems like one of the most miserable jobs of all time. I don't know if you think you could ever do that, but could never do that.
I could never, because like sometimes I'll go out and try to make street content and like go up to people on the street and be like, "What's your favorite song?" And I get so much anxiety, like I can't do that. So the idea of running up on celebrities, stalking them, and also basing your whole income around like capturing people in their worst moments kind of seems like the worst.
It's funny because we bring up like being a woman in Florida. Obviously, being a woman, much different experience than being a man. Very, very
Yeah,
vastly different.
that's true.
But I will say this: doing street content, you got it over us because
It's true.
I do street content. Boy, the amount of just disrespect I get. Like I will ask somebody, like, "Hey, are you down for like a quick 30-second interview?" They will look at me and just walk away. Not even say no. Just look at me and be like, "I acknowledge you, but I'm not going to acknowledge you. Just goodbye. Just walk away." And it's so crazy. I don't know if that would
Yep.
happen to a woman. Even if it's a no, it would be like, "Oh no, thank you, baby." It is, boy. Being a street interviewer, it's not for the faint of heart.
It is not for the faint of heart, and I definitely use my nice girl powers when I can. And I just go up and I'm like, "Hey, like, how's your day? I'm doing this thing." So I try to do that, but yeah, it's really unsettling for me, and I could never ever be a paparazzi.
Yeah, me walking up with a bonnet on, I think it's just like I'm homeless or like crazy or something, and they're just like, "Yeah, we're not gonna talk to you, idiot." So that's always
Yeah.
an interesting one. But something that we actually do bond on. We don't bond over New York being a not a great place. We don't bond over. We disagree about something else. I forget, but we do bond over though.
What?
What year did this come out? It was a couple years ago, if I'm not mistaken. It was a top three album for me. I don't know I don't know what year it came out, but honestly, Nevermind is one of the best Drake albums of all time, in my opinion.
That's so true. Yeah, I think that it was people hated on it right away. And over time, I think more people have come to love it. But that is one of the best damn Drake albums. The summer that came out was one of the best summers in my life. Like creating memory, hearing that shit in the club for the first time, like over that summer of what was it, 2022?
I think so.
Yeah, legendary.
Somebody made a good point on Twitter when it dropped. They were like, it's probably like 30 minutes after it dropped, and it was like people are calling a dance album trash in their bed. It was like you have to experience this, and I agree 100%. So you saying that you made memories
Yeah.
about it in the club because I review music, and I have to stop myself sometimes. I'm like, you know what? I need to experience this album. Let me play it in the car. Let me play it outside. Let me play it in the house. Let me play this. Like, let me do it in different environments instead of just listen to it in my bed because maybe it's not meant for somebody in their bed. You know?
Right. I think so many people will just like toss it on when they're in bed or just kind of put it on willy nilly and listen in the background. But I feel like the way, like, the context in which you listen to music has such a large influence on like what you think about it. Like, I thought the album was okay. I think the first time I listened to it was like in an Uber or maybe even in my bed. But then, yeah, I go outside and I hear it in the club. I hear it like at a block party, like, and I'm dancing to it with my friends. It makes me love it like 10 times more. So I couldn't agree more.
I think we are so processed to listening to like kind of fast food music. So we're just reviewing everything so fast. Even if it's not a fast food song or fast food album, we're reviewing it as if it is. Because if a song that's meant to be like a TikTok hit, like yeah, you probably judge that instantly. But if you're listening to this big philosophical album or whatever, you probably need to sit with it. Or if you listen to something that's going to make you dance, you probably need to go out in an environment where people are dancing. So I think people aren't really, what's the word? People aren't really digesting music the way it's intended to be digested. You know?
Yeah, so much of my favorite music has been stuff that I've had to sit with for months, or like sometimes years to like fully unpack the greatness of it and like really understanding it. Like my favorite example of this is Blonde. Like when I first heard Blonde, I was like, this is weird. I don't know how I feel about this. This is a lot. And then like in the coming months, I made memories too, and I listened to it in the car. I saw Frank perform it. I like lived with it, and like over time, it became like the greatest album of all time to me. And I think so many times, especially like us working in a space of like media and people always wanting to know what we think about music, like people will literally review an album an hour after it comes out, and it's like you haven't even gone outside and listened to it in your headphones, you haven't listened to it in the car, you haven't talked to anyone else about it. It's like, yeah, I feel like we should do like all our favorite music justice by taking our time to really sit with it and live with it and like really feel it out before we immediately have a reaction.
I think people need to understand that everything can't be digested the same. Like this
Yeah.
right here, this freaking Zaxby ranch sauce. If I wanted to just eat this ranch, I mean, I don't know what type of weirdo I would be just eating ranch by itself. But if I just wanted to just put my finger and just start
You
eating
just
a
wanted
ranch,
to like slurp up that ranch like a little drink, you know,
you
then
know, if somebody
take a shot, you know.
if somebody did that, I would definitely judge them. But let's say if I were to do that,
Okay.
I wouldn't digest that the same as if I was eating a chicken wing, because I would have to chew that wing. I don't have to chew this ranch. I'm just chugging it down. So the same way you
Right.
can't digest, honestly, never mind, like a freaking little pump song or something. You know, both of those things are tend to be digested differently, and that's okay. You just have to know that, and I feel like people need to be cognizant of that.
That's so fun. I think a lot of music that takes longer to digest that really like speaks to the longevity of that music. Like I think that, you know, people may not have taken Honestly Nevermind like up right away and it took time to grow on people, but I think that album is going to last a long time. People are going to listen to it for a long time and love it for a long time. Whereas like you were saying earlier, a song may go up on TikTok and everyone's obsessed with it for like a month, and then is that really going to have longevity? Like that's going to go away when the next TikTok bop hits. So, yeah, something to consider. I
This
think about that a lot.
this is a kind of a general question, but while we're talking about like kind of like the fast food music, um, like I said, it's a very general one from the ask. But like, what are your thoughts, kind of like on this new ushering of like generation of like hip hop specifically, like specifically rap?
I don't know. I mean, rap is so broad right
Yeah,
now. There's just like so much happening in rap. I think there's a lot of innovation happening right now. I think now more than ever, people are continuing to just blend genres and try new shit, break out of boxes. And I think that music is in a great place. We obviously are hearing that narrative from a lot of older people that like rap is dead and hip hop is dead, but clearly it's fucking not. Like, I don't think it can ever die no matter how hard you try. I think a lot of the beauty right now is in the more underground shit. Not to say that there's not some mainstream artists making amazing music, but yeah, I just feel like, you know, the goats of our generation are kind of getting older, and it's time for some new leaders in hip hop to step up. And while we're kind of in that phase of transition, it's easy for people to say that like rap is in a shit place, but it's clearly not. Like there's so much amazing music out there. We see people like Overcast, we see people like Mavi, we see people like 454, Z Loopers, Max. Like, there's so many fucking amazing hip hop artists out here innovating. Like, Tia Corinne's EP is fucking nuts. Like, she's making huge strides. Like, hip hop is fine. It
I
will always be
I
fine.
think when people talk about like hip hop being like dead per se, they are more speaking about like I guess like the mainstream stuff. I guess they're not a fan. Like, are you a fan of a lot of the mainstream like music coming out, specifically rap once again that's coming out right now?
For the most part, yeah, I'd say so. I mean, there's a lot of mainstream rap coming out right now, but I'm a fan of a lot of it. I definitely lean more towards like the alternative hip hop side of things. But yeah, I don't know. You'd probably have to give me examples because there's like so much hip hop coming out right now. You know.
Well, I mean, kind of the controversy with the Grammys is like people are saying like Travis Scott, Utopia should have won. Like what were your thoughts on Utopia?
I thought Utopia was really cool for me. I think it felt a little bit disjointed. Like it didn't really feel like I don't think anything will ever beat the feeling of Astroworld. Like
Yeah,
how can you move on from Astroworld? You know, I think there were some brilliant songs on there though. I think that like I Know is one of my favorite Travis Scott songs. My Eyes is gorgeous. Modern Jam is really cool, but I didn't return back to it a lot. I feel like I don't listen to Travis Scott as much as I used to, but can't deny the album was really great.
shout out to you for shouting out "I Know." "I Know" is actually fire. I know,
That is one
I
of his best songs
know.
ever. I fucking love that song.
But you know what? So I'm gonna make a. I made this reference in my review, and a few people got it. I don't know if you're gonna get this reference I'm finna do, but you know what that sounds like? Do you remember that Mia Khalifa song? Not that Mia Khalifa made a song, but it was like a girl and a guy made a song about Mia Khalifa. It was like a Arab girl and like a black guy. Do you remember this at all?
Hmm. No.
So they made a couple songs that like went viral or whatever, and they were just kind of like, "Hey, I'm the black guy. I'm the Arab girl," and the black guy that sounds exactly like him. And I was like, "Did Zeno? His name
Mm,
is Zeno Carr." I was like, "Did Zeno Carr write?" I know it was such an interesting thing to me, but I really do like that song. It's actually like probably my favorite song on that album because I think one of my main takeaways was that a lot of people are worrying about like AI and music and like AI and it's going to take over and we're going to have like AI rappers or whatever. But honestly, I don't think that needs to be the big thing that people worry about because really we have Travis Scott. He's essentially like an AI rapper. Like he says nothing in music. Like he goes in the booth, just absolutely says nothing. I can't think of one quote off that album that he said. That
yeah.
like Travis Scott is like the type of rapper just be like I don't know how he comes I don't know if he's writing, I don't know if he's freestyling, but yeah, he is like he has nothing to say, I feel like. And I feel like the shine on that album was kind of like the sounds of it. It sounded like cool. The features were
Hmm.
okay, but I couldn't tell you one thing that Travis Scott did to make that album better on a like vocal, you know.
Yeah, I definitely can agree. I think like the production and some of the songwriting on there is good. I think a lot of my favorite songs, like I Know, and I could be wrong, like were written by, you know, other people. So the songwriters that did contribute did a great job, but I think the production totally carried that album. You know what? Travis Scott's voice and especially just the way he does his vocal effects is so iconic. So he can literally just sit kind of like the Kid Cudi effect. He can just sit there and hum and like we're gonna feel it, you know, just from like the texture of his voice. Like no one can replicate that.
I think AI might. I think AI might be able to replicate Travis Scott's voice. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's true, but yeah, this I think like with the rise of AI, it's definitely going to give even more reason for producers and songwriters to
Yeah.
shine because they can just like take a voice and run it through an AI. It's so crazy hearing all these AI songs come out and like they sound exactly the same. Like it is really interesting to witness. I still don't know how I feel about it all, but it definitely can be a really useful tool.
I think hip hop is in such an interesting place because I do like I don't know. I feel like the older I get, the more because when I was younger, I was super optimistic about everything, and I still am a very optimistic person. But the older to get, the more pessimistic I get, and the more I do kind of fall on that side of like, boy, hip hop kind of stinks right now. Hip hop is kind of butt juice right now. And the underground, very great. All those people you named, I've interviewed all probably almost all of them. I think, outside of Tia. So I do like all of those people. But yeah, once you get into like a lot of things that's like releasing, it's like everybody feels the same. So funny enough, something like New York, I feel like I grew up loving like the New York sound of like the '90s and the 2000s stuff. Now, New York didn't have a sound for the longest. They didn't know what they wanted to sound like. They sound like Atlanta. They sound like this and that. Now it's like the drill music that everybody's making, and that sounds like the same exact song over and over and over and once and over again, and it's just like I don't know. It's a lot of samey stuff. Everybody's rapping over like samples, but it's not like Kanye West chopping up samples. It's like very like easily like just lazy samples, and I just feel like everybody's
Yeah.
lazy right now in hip hop. Like it's not a lot of people really trying to push the envelope. Definitely happening in the underground, but a lot of people trying to make these hits. It's like I feel like I've heard this song 1,000 times.
I hear that. I think especially in drill, a lot of stuff can sound like the same. But you know who the fuck is like really doing it right now, bro? Cash Cobain is literally the like one of the most brilliant fucking people out here. Like Cash Cobain coming out of New York, he's been around for a long time, but the moment he's having now, and I think the year he's about to have is about to be massive for him. I think like the whole sexy drill like slizzy movement is about to completely take over hip hop in the biggest way. So he's definitely the one.
I've heard of him, haven't listened to him, so I can't say anything positive nor negative. I know he helped produce on Honestly Never Mind. I do know that. But I can't honestly tell you anything good or bad about him. So I'm gonna take your
Yeah.
word.
He wrote on "Callin' for You" on "For All the Dogs" and maybe a couple other songs on there as well. Definitely check out his most recent album, "Pretty Girls Love Slizzy" is so fucking good. He just dropped this song called "Dunk Contest" that really good. That man is a brilliant fucking writer, amazing producer, and yeah, you're gonna become obsessed. Just wait. When you interview him,
Yeah.
just remember that, remember this moment.
I will tell him. I will tell him that you're the one that told me to listen to. Do you guys know each other?
I don't know him personally. I've had him on my show on the Lot Radio last month. So we're not like besties, but I'm aware of him, and I'm a huge fan.
Okay.
And we've had him on our show once, and yeah, he's the shit.
I would definitely let him know if when I listen to him because now I'm interested. But that's all I want, just more creativity. I feel like everybody's trying to do the same thing. Everybody's kind of rapping over the same beats, and it feels very uninspired. Like I listened to I interviewed Chuck Strangers for my pro era the other day, and we were talking again. We're just saying a lot of people are like when you listen to like 90s rap, I feel like, or 2000s rap, everybody felt like they were trying to like make a like a I don't know, make their name being different, but everybody's just sound the same, and that's all I want, just people to be different. But it's very, I feel like it's very pushed to be, hey, you should sound like this person, you should sound like this person, because this is the sound, this is the TikTok thing that's blowing up. But it's like, do your own thing. Not everybody can
Yeah,
be Annabelle Kline. Not everybody can be you. Like that's with everything. Like be your own human
it's
being.
true.
You know?
Be your own thing for sure. I'm gonna send you a playlist because I don't know. There's a lot of dull shit happening, especially in a lot of areas of mainstream hip hop. I see that happening, but there's a lot of innovation out there, and I'm gonna send you some shit. I'm
Who?
gonna make you a playlist
Keep
after
keep
this.
going. Who else? Who am I not aware of?
Oh my gosh, wait. I'm like, let me open my Spotify.
Go for it. Who am I not aware? Because like I said, I listen to a lot of the people you named, the Overcast and Maxo and all of them. Like I like them, but man, it's a lot a lot of badness. Let me go and look to see.
Definitely, you gotta tap in with Cash Cobain, with Chow Lee. Who else? R2R Mo out of New York is doing a lot of cool stuff. Veda's doing a lot of cool shit. I don't know if you've heard of
I
her.
know Veda.
I love Veda. Planet Giza is doing some really amazing stuff. They had my favorite album of the year last year. They're super crazy. Pink Sifu, dude. Pink Sifu is like 20 years ahead of his time. I don't know if you listen to him that much, but his last album, It's Too Quiet, was really amazing.
No,
That's more on the side of like,
I've interviewed Pink Seafood twice. He's great. I like Pink
oh,
Seafood.
period. Yeah, you
Yeah.
already know what's going on. Yeah, I mean, Mike Nyante, really amazing. Um, there's so much.
What do you like about Nayante?
Beats. What I like about Nyante, I love like his choices of like what production he's on. I think is like really creative. I think he's super versatile. Kind of just like his accent and the way he speaks is just like super like fun to listen to. Like he just has a really unique sound of his voice. And fucking real hip hop is the best song of 2023.
I agree. Okusto definitely has my favorite verse in that song. It's a great song.
Yeah,
Okusto has
El
a great
Custo's
song.
amazing.
But no, it's always interesting. You said you like a lot of Florida music, right?
Yeah,
Who do you like from Florida?
454, Myko. I love 454. Dochi's from Florida. She's one of my favorites. She's about to have such an insane year, I think. I have a lot of closer friends who are smaller artists out of Florida. My friend Brianna Michelle, my friend Hush Forte, my friend Flozig, like Icy Red. Lots of amazing people out of Florida.
Yeah, shout out to Florida. Is always of course I'm from Florida, so I'm always going to put on for Florida. But no, Florida always has a bunch of just good music coming out right now with the people you said, like Niante, freaking I love Wiz Having. It's a bunch of people from Florida right now who are absolutely going crazy. You say V's, right? I think I cut you off. I think the last person said was V's, right? You like
V's.
V's?
Yeah. I love V's. How do you feel about V's?
I've interviewed V's too. I like V's a lot. My
Oh, that's crazy. I didn't know you interviewed him.
Yeah, I've interviewed. I love V's. V's. My only critique about V's now is that V's. I'm just going to assume this is what it is. I think him drinking so much lean, he has developed a very heavy slur, and it is very hard to understand what he's saying sometimes in his songs. That is my only critique about V's. Because if you listen to Wavy Navy, the first tape he put out, he is the most clearest person of all time. He sounds like me, sounds like you. But now
Yep.
with like start a fire, this is not a fire drill. Like this is not a fire drill. This is everything. Like he kind of raps like that, and he says a lot. I want to pick up on everything. So he's not a person where he's slurring, and I want to vibe with the slur. It's like no, I need to hear what V's is
I
saying.
need to hear his lyrical genius. I
Exactly.
understand that. I think there's like two sides of the coin. Like on one hand, it can be kind of frustrating when you got someone like him who's such an insane writer and has the most creative fucking bars in his songs. But then at the same time, I don't know. I think like that lazy sound can really contribute to the vibe of when you're just trying to listen and like not really tune into the lyrics and just like just vibe out to it. I think that like slur in his voice can kind of contribute to the vibe and energy of the music and just that lazy sound. So I think there's benefits on both sides.
See, I personally, I'm always trying to hear like the lyrics. So I'm always trying, like for example, Kodak. When Kodak first came out, pretty clear. Now Kodak, with a little, with a little meth in his system. I don't know what he's saying. I don't know what the hell Kodak is saying sometimes, and it gradually got worse and worse and more heavy and more heavy. He's like he's lost. I mean, he literally has a song with French Montana where he say he can't talk because his jaw keep locking. like so it's very frustrating sometimes when I want to hear what these type of people are saying, which who are people I respect on like a lyrical level. I also thought Babyface Ray was getting to that level, but with his last album Summer's Mine, he sounds so clear, and do love Ray too. I loved all the Detroit music. Detroit music is like some of my favorite music coming out right now. Like they're the people I
Yeah.
hear, and I'm like, maybe hip hop isn't on the ventilator. Maybe hip hop has a pulse.
Detroit is keeping us alive right now. Like Detroit's on some crazy stuff.
So I was listening to you talk about making playlists because I know you are a playlist curator, which is when I heard I didn't even know that was a thing. When you said that, I was like, people are getting paid to make playlists. I was like, where do I start this at? Sign me the fuck up. I was like, cause shout out to your, cause if I ever start doing this, shout out to the people who will potentially may buy playlists for me. If people need somebody to make a playlist for them, well, no, I take that back because sometimes I actually need playlists made for me. So I'm not going to say what I was going to say. I'm not even going to say it. I was going to bury those people, but I'm not even going to say it. I'm going to go back to what I was going to ask you. You make these playlists. I would assume it's not just hey, I want some rap music or I want some R&B music. They want different types of music, correct?
Yeah.
So you're the nicest person of all time, but I'm going to need you to take off your nice hat one time just for this right here. What genre of music that you just personally think, nothing against that genre, you're like, this kind of sucks. Everything I hear from this is just not good.
I'd have to say it's hard because I feel like I enjoy I enjoy at least one artist from every genre, I think. But maybe like there's a lot of like EDM that I really can't rock with.
Gotcha.
When I was in college, I was getting pretty into EDM. Like I loved like Illenium and kind of like Odessa and that like melodic EDM. But I'd say like 99% of like EDM music, it doesn't really click for me.
What about like some like death metal or something like that?
You know, I actually had a huge metal phase when I was in high school. Like I loved, well, maybe not as much metal. I don't know how you categorize them, but I loved like Bring Me the Horizon and like Pierce the Veil and like Sleeping with Sirens. So I'm behind all the screaming. I love that. I still listen to it, but the super intense death metal, it doesn't really do it for me.
What about country?
You know, I grew up on country music, and I fuck with country music. I don't really listen to any new country music, but I have a playlist of all the country I grew up listening to, and I still listen to that a lot.
All right, well let me put on my. I told you to take off your nice hat. I'm gonna put on my over my bonnet. I'm gonna put over my Annabelle Kline hat right now. I'm gonna put you on to somebody. Pretty popular. It's not like this is like underground artist or anything. But are you familiar with Zach Bryan?
I've heard of Zach Bryan. I've heard he just played at the Grammys with Tracy Chapman, right?
He did.
Yeah.
No. That was Luke Bryan.
Luke Bryan. Oh, sorry.
Another country white boy. Another country
Right,
white
right,
boy.
right, right, right. Okay, Zach Bryan. I haven't listened to Zach Bryan.
Listen to Zach Bryan. Zach Bryan. Album came out late last year, around like August. That was what my like second favorite album of last year, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. Listen to Zach Bryan's self-titled Zach Bryan. Great country music.
Love it. Yeah, I'm a fan of country music. I think like the storytelling in country music is so pure and so beautiful, and it reminds me of just like summertime, riding in the car with the windows down and just like carefree. I love some country when the time is right.
That's literally, this album is like some of the best songwriting you're gonna hear. It's fun, it's introspective, a little bit depressing at times. He is such a good songwriter, such a good singer. As you would say, he's so good. He is so
He's
good.
so good. He's so
He's
good.
so
Yeah.
good. But no, I
Yeah.
would definitely recommend that. But yeah, so making these playlists though, which is I kind of want to know more about because it's so interesting to me. What made you? Well, I actually do know you said like you were just creating stuff. And you was like, oh, people were asking. You're like, hey, so many people asking, might as well make money off of it, right?
Yeah.
Mm, does it ever feel like a job?
Sorry, I know there's a loud
No,
ambulance
you're good. You're
behind me.
good.
Yeah, it has felt like a job, and so a couple months ago, maybe like 6 months ago, I actually like I like stopped selling playlists for the first time since I started because I was getting really burnt out from it. Like the first few years that I was doing this, I was making playlists constantly, really enjoying it, and basically how I would do it is like people would buy a playlist from me, pay me like $10, $20 or whatever, depending on how long their playlist was. And then they'd fill out a Google form with all of their preferences. Like, here's what I listen to. Here's what I want to discover more of. I want the playlist to have this theme, this title. I would ask people if a lot of people would get playlists as gifts for other people. So I'd
Yeah.
want to know like if the playlist is for them or as a gift. And yeah, I used to spend just hours and hours sitting in my bed making playlists for people. And I loved it so much. And I still do love making playlists, but I started to burn out on it really bad. And I kind of started to resent it. So I had to like take a break. And hopefully I can get back to it soon. And I still make a lot of playlists for myself and for close friends, but yeah, I did burn out on it pretty bad because I have like more than 700 playlists in my library from it.
So you're on a break right now.
Yeah.
Shout out to you.
I'm on a
Well,
break.
I mean, you're talking about making me a playlist. Stay on your break. Don't don't make me a
Oh no,
playlist.
I'll
Don't
make you a
do
playlist.
it.
I love making occasional playlists for a friend or like making a playlist for a crush. Like just like little moments like that. Like I'll never give those up, but it's something I wanted to stop monetizing for a while because it just started to like take the fun out of it.
God bless your heart. God bless your heart. Um, it's funny. I don't know your relationship status, but I would imagine a lot of guys probably say to you like, "Oh, you got a good taste in music."
Yeah,
Is that ever
I get that a lot.
is that ever condescending a little bit? Like a woman can't have a good taste in music.
Yeah, it bothers me a lot how like under a lot of my videos people be like, "Oh my god, this girl like actually knows what she's talking about." A lot of people will just insinuate because I'm like cute that I like shouldn't like good music. And yeah, I think it's like kind of impossible for a lot of guys to believe that like hot girls can also have like a really deep, rich, nuanced taste in music. Um and yeah, it kind of bothers me, but luckily now I feel like in the circle I'm in and the spaces I'm in, like people kind of respect good music and like also aren't surprised when like a cute girl has a good taste in music. But
You know,
people are definitely weird about it sometimes.
I think it may be an environmental thing because in like Florida, it's not just the women. Nobody has a good taste here. Like, well, I'm gonna say Jacksonville specifically. People in
Yeah.
Jacksonville listen to the same exact thing every single time. If you go to a club in Jacksonville, you might hear more music from like 2008 than you will in 2024. So
Yeah.
people are so kind of stuck in the past. People want to listen to one type of thing. I mean,
Hmm.
you can only imagine what type of people or what type of music people like in Jacksonville just by the music that's coming out of Jacksonville. I don't know if you were privy of like the drill scene that came out of here in
Hmm.
like a couple years ago. You know what I'm talking about? It was like people like,
Hmm.
"Hey, I'm killing you, and I'm killing that." It was really ridiculous. That's the type of music people like. People like gangster music, very But
Hmm.
anything deviating from that, it's pretty weird. I don't listen to this. So somewhere in New
Yeah.
York, I do think people are more open minded to different types of sounds. I will give New York that. New York is very much more privy to. I listen to drill music, but I also might listen to like freaking Mos Def, or I might listen to freaking Veda after the Mos Def song comes on. That's not happening down here.
Yeah. That's a big reason why I came here too, is like when I was living in Oregon before, like every single fucking party I go to, they'd play Party in the USA, fucking Bohemian Rhapsody. It was like the same soundtrack everywhere I went. And coming here, like you'll notice in like every restaurant, like everywhere is playing niche ass music,
Yeah.
and so many people here really like you can go up to anyone, talk to them, and they probably have like a like niche ass music taste, and it's just something that's like a lot more common out here, which I really appreciate and love. I feel like I can be a lot more open about the music I like, and more people will like get it.
If a DJ played in Florida, if a DJ played Bohemian Rhapsody, he might get physically assaulted by the entire crowd. So I don't think that would ever happen down in Florida
They would
whatsoever.
play that shit at like every single college party when I was in college, and that's honestly why I started DJing, because I'd watch these like frat boys DJ at parties in Oregon, and I'd be like, they're like, I didn't think that people could be this bad at playing music, and they are, and I can't stand for that.
I'm trying to wrap my mind of being at a party and just hearing "Mama." That would.
And everyone like totally going for it too, like people screaming at the top of their lungs, drunk as shit.
What type of parties are you? Are they also playing Sweet Caroline at these parties too?
Yes, they're playing Sweet Caroline. They're playing All I Want for Christmas Is You in the summer. Like, yeah.
That is Are they playing Mr. Brightside as well? Like with these.
Yes.
Interesting.
Every time. Every
Interesting.
time. Yeah.
That's another thing about white people. White people love Mr. Brightside. Mr. Brightside is
They
a
do.
staple. That's like it's like
They
finito.
love an ironic party song. No, exactly. They love an ironic, like corny party song, but they treat it like it's literally finito. Like they are on their knees, like screaming at the top of their lungs.
Wait, it's ironic.
And you know what? Power to them.
I thought people liked it for real.
I think some people like it, and some people like it because of the irony. It's hard to tell. It's ironic from my perspective, but some people really just fuck with it like that. But I'm like, don't y'all ever get tired of this? But then again, it's like, I don't know. Everyone's got their own thing. I'm not gonna hate on how people want to party.
Leave that to me. I'll be the hater. You be the super duper nice person. That's how we're
Yeah.
gonna keep the dynamic going. And you being
Yeah, I like that.
You doing the super duper nice thing. You know what else it works well in? Your interviews. Your interviews are really good. You know.
You.
You say you found out about me through the No Name interview. I want to say the first interview that I ever watched of yours. Gosh, shout out to you for being a good journalist, because you would have had that ready. I gotta look it up. You would have had the answer ready. I have to look up
It's
what's
okay.
the first one. My
That's
probably
totally fine.
my probably first interview that I've seen of you, I would say is probably. You know what? We're gonna find that in a few. I'm gonna. Oh, West Side Gun. That's the first one I seen. West Side Gun was the first one that I seen of yours. And before I actually get into the content of the interviews, I lied. It was Serpent with Feet. That was the first one I seen. Serpent with Feet was the first one that I seen. So before we get into the content of the interviews, which are really good by the way, I have a question.
Thanks.
Something I think it's a strategy that I realize you use. You don't upload all of your interviews to the YouTube channel.
Yeah,
Any reason why?
it's because I'm lazy.
Okay. I like that answer.
And
That's real. That's real. That's real.
well, it's I do all of my own editing, and like I do most of my stuff myself. Like everything's pretty in house, and so I just frankly don't have the time to upload everything on YouTube, because I have to edit it all for socials, and then I have to edit it again for YouTube, and then I have to make a thumbnail, and then I have to have my laptop open for 2 hours to upload the video. My manager is on my ass. She's like, Annabelle, you need to film everything horizontally and upload it to YouTube. And I'm like, girl, I'm trying. So that's something I'm trying to do more of this year, but it's truthfully just because I'm lazy and I have other things I need to do. And I think like a lot of my interviews perform really well on Instagram and TikTok. So as of right now, I'm only putting the heavy hitters on YouTube, but eventually, especially once I can hire more of a team, I do plan on like getting them all up on YouTube all the time. And once I do that, I'm sure that like I'll wish I had done it sooner.
Can I give you some advice?
Mm-hmm.
Upload on YouTube. I say that because the YouTube, that really is kind of like the longevity. Like that's like
Mm-hmm.
you. I think I seen funny enough. I think I seen a freaking what's his name? Freaking Duke Dennis say this recently, where he was like he uploads to TikTok and like Instagram. That's like the instant stuff that's going to get the views. But like the longevity of the fans is really going to stay with you for a long time. That's YouTube. And a lot
Yeah.
of people that you interview, I'm telling you for a fact, these people are searching for like their name on YouTube all the time. There's so many comments on
Yeah.
that No Name interview. They're like, crazy. I was just searching for No Name interviews today, and it just popped up. Or like I interviewed
Yeah.
this. The one that I get the most. I interviewed this guy named Alan Resnick. He's like a movie director, and he did a lot of stuff, a lot of weird, crazy stuff for Adult Swim. And he had like a
Yeah.
crazy YouTube channel where people thought like he was like an insane person, but he was doing like freaking performance art essentially. So many people commented on that YouTube video. Oh my gosh, like what are the odds? Like I was looking for a new Alan Resnick interview and it just popped up. And somebody that I'm telling you that would fit for is your Smino interview. That Smino interview on YouTube
Yeah.
would crush. When I said I wasn't on YouTube, I was like, this has to be a typo. It must be somewhere. You need that on YouTube, I'm telling you. Because that's somebody
True.
that.
It's filmed
Yeah.
vertically though, so I'm like, should I just post the whole vertical interview on a fucking like
How long is it?
horizontal YouTube format? I think it's like 5 to 7 minutes long or something.
Yeah, it's not even that long. So like, yes, that would work. Like I'm telling you, like people
Okay,
would
so I'm like,
watch
if it's
that.
not filmed horizontally, like I feel weird about posting it, but I kind of just need to get over myself and do it.
Because like, let's say you film the other stuff non-horizontally in the future, then you just go from there. But the stuff that's filmed vertically, yes, like it's there. You can't change it. So it's like go for it. Like people are not going to be like, damn, this is a great interview. Wish it wasn't filmed vertically. Nobody's gonna say that. Literally, nobody's gonna comment that. You may have
Right.
you may have one film nerd that comments that, and you know that I'll comment back and be like, "Go kick rocks," you know. So I'll be the mean person for you. So
All right.
that's all you need. But I'm telling you, the Smino one that would kill on YouTube for sure, for sure.
Yeah. I'll put it up there just because you told me I should.
I'm telling
gonna do
you,
it.
I have to. I'm gonna go back on your freaking Instagram now and see who else because I feel like you interviewed so many people. The West Side Gun one, that's perfect. Like you see how that did on YouTube, right? That's like the most
Oh,
viewed
that
video.
crushed.
Exactly, exactly.
Dude. Yeah, that was a crazy one. I was high as shit. I was so scared. Like, that's really one of my favorite artists of all time. And that man walked in the room and he played us his album. And that man, he smoked like 4 blunts in the time that we listened to the album. And we were just in there. I was contact high, and it was a great time, and it went really well, and I felt like it flowed so naturally, and I really fuck with him for like taking the time to come hang out, and not just like pop in, do the interview, and leave, but hang out for like 3 to 4 hours and like really spend time. And yeah, he's the best.
You did a good job. You did a good job with that
Thank you.
interview. Are there any interviews you've done so far that maybe for whatever reason didn't come out that great and you had to shove them?
Mm, the only interview I've done that really failed, that actually I think is still going to come out, is I did an interview with Felix from Van Buren recently, fresh off when he was on the Brent Baez album. And my mic was not on, and it was really windy, and you couldn't hear shit. But I think we're actually still going to post it with captions and just be like, here's everything we could decipher from the interview, take it. But that's the only interview I think I've ever really had like flop just because of like a mistake.
How many interviews have you done? Can you do you know? Like a round?
I don't keep count, but I think I've done like upwards of between like 40 and 60 maybe.
Are they
I don't know.
are they all on Instagram?
It should be, yeah.
Okay.
I think I have like one that's only on YouTube with one bun, which was my first interview, but yeah, somewhere between like 30, 40, 50, 60, somewhere in there. Definitely more than 30, damn. Yeah, probably like 50 to 60.
You're shooting good from the field that you have over 60 interviews and all of them were like, yeah, I can upload these.
Yeah, and you know what? Imagine how crazy it'll be when I get them all up on YouTube.
Exactly. And you have so many. You have like for example, so like I have a bunch of interviews and public interviews and a bunch of stuff that I just upload to TikTok now because I was very anti TikTok. And somebody that you follow and he follows you, I don't know if you know him at all, but it's a guy named Chris Chance, made in the URL. Don't know if you know who that is, but you guys follow each other.
Christopher Chance, yeah, that's the GOAT. I have a made in the URL sticker on my laptop. That's my bestie.
That's super funny. So I know Sachi, or we call him Sachi. That's from his past life, I guess. I call him Sachi. Sachi would bug me to be on TikTok, and we always pick on Sachi. We're always like, Sachi, you love everything popular. Like, of course you're on TikTok. Like, I'm not joining the stupid app. And he was just like, I'm telling you. Da-da-da-da. So I listened. I did it. And I have so much back catalog stuff that was posted on YouTube that I've never posted anywhere else that I'm posting on TikTok. And it's just killing. It's just killing. I'm like, dang, I should have been on here. So similar to you with YouTube, you have 60 interviews. Just uploading all of those, I'm telling you, at least a few will hit and get a big view. Because you have big artists that aren't on there. Like Smino. The Smino one specifically is the one where I'm like, she's crazy. That needs to be on
Yeah.
YouTube.
You're right.
It's
I'm
worth-
going to do that. I will.
It's worth it.
Thank you.
It's worth it for sure, for sure. Is there because like I said, the fact that you're shooting 60 for 60 with no interviews that you had to shelve, because boy oh boy, do I have so many interviews that I've never put out because just boring. Like I have so many interviews with people where it's like they're just one wording me to death, and it's like, all right, I don't think you want to be here, you know. And it's just like,
Yeah.
it's like, hey, so like tell me about like making that beat. And he's just like, just a beat.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, well, I'm just gonna say bye, and I'm just gonna end this conversation out. So the fact you haven't had that, salute to you, because a lot of people are not interviewable. I think, you know, or people you catch somebody in a bad mood, you know, like so. Salute to you. You need to freaking upload. I might text that every day until you do it. Upload on YouTube because it's worth it.
Yeah, I will. I know. I think that I'm also like really meticulous about how I choose the people I interview. Like I hate going into an interview and the vibe is bad and like
Yeah.
they clearly don't want to be there because I've had that happen a few times, but I've managed to be able to like kind of turn it around and get something out of it. But I try to like really only do it if it seems like the artist themselves is excited and really behind it and not like their team is like making them do it or like I'm forcing them to do it. Like I try to only interview people who I already listen to and I'm a genuine fan of, and B, they're like excited about doing the interview and they're like looking forward to it and they're not like in a bad vibe going into it.
So this is very off the wall, but you follow somebody else who also follows you back, and this person I know does listen to a lot of music. He's not a rapper. I don't even know if you too much know who this person is. I was like, it's very random she follows this person. Uh, you know who Daniel Garcia is?
Yes.
It's a wrestler.
The wrestler?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You should interview Daniel Garcia. That's who you should interview.
Maybe I will. Maybe I will.
You should. You should.
Anyone who like I'll interview anyone who likes music.
Not to get in your business, but I have to ask, how the hell do you know Daniel Garcia? That's such a random ass person.
I don't know Daniel Garcia. He follows me and I think he's involved with like West Side Guns, like wrestling league.
Something
So
like that, yeah. 'Cause he's from Buffalo.
yeah, so I'm just like I saw him and like Gun followed each other and I was like, well, Gun's bestie, so I guess this is also bestie by association.
Daniel Garcia is somebody, from what I see, listens to a lot of music. So I think just off of a YouTube thing, you uploaded Daniel Garcia. Not only will you get like the music people that you like, you get a big crossover audience of people that would have never heard of you. And you'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know she did this. Let me subscribe to her. So I think that would be a good. If you can do that one, I'm almost for sure that would be a big crossover for you right there. I promise you.
Okay.
I promise.
Okay. Maybe I'll hit him up and see if he's down.
Who else do you want to interview that you haven't yet that's on your list?
Ooh, me and my manager just sat down and made the dream list today.
Mm.
Like we did this last year, we did the same thing this year. We like sat down and wrote down like a whole list of everyone I want to interview this year, and there's a ton of them. Some of the main ones are I really want to fucking interview the internet. I want to interview them so bad. I feel like they have an album coming this year, and if that's the case, I would like to be included in their rollout plan. I would really like to interview them. Um, who else? I really want to interview 454. That hasn't happened yet, so that would be really cool. My dream interview is getting No Worries as a duo, but like I'm pretty sure that's never gonna happen because we're not getting knowledge in front of an interview mic.
Well, that, yeah.
But you never know. But that would be cool. Who else? Would love to get the Kate Renata interview. There's lots of people.
Then I was like, you can get No Worries, but I was like, oh, Knowledge. I don't know about getting him. He seems like he hates everything. Not gonna lie. Every time I see him, he just like hates life. So I don't know.
I don't know. I don't. You know, he just seems like a real indoor guy,
Yeah.
and you know, it's gonna take a. But I have friends who are friends with him, and the friends that we share are people that I really love and are just like bright, happy people. So I know that Knowledge has good taste in friends and good taste in people,
Okay.
and so whenever he's ready, and he knows that I'm really about it, like I think it could happen. But I think that's like the rarest interview to be had is like Knowledge and Anderson packed together.
I bet you could definitely get Anderson though, for sure. I know you can.
I think that could happen, yeah. But like them as a duo would be like it.
For sure.
But Anderson Paak, even just him would be crazy. I love him.
Insane. I've kept you for a long time. So before we get out of here, I do want to ask you one more thing because you are somebody who's like you're big, you're famous essentially. You know, you're on the freaking Rolling Stones list. You know, you're Annabelle Kline. You know, Is that a Jewish last name? Or am I making that up?
I don't think so. My family's not Jewish. I think it's German.
German, German,
It
German.
used to be, I think it used to be Klein, and then they like changed the spelling when they came to the
Got you.
US or something. I think it's German.
Got you,
I don't
got you. So not Jewish, but German.
know. Yeah.
Got you, got you. So yes, you're famous. Everybody knows you. You know, you're a pretty big deal. How? Because like anything we really start is usually like from like a hobby or it's fun, then we turn into something bigger or whatnot. When would you say you like? Because I would assume like a lot of labels or people from labels like hit you up about like artists, like hey, even if it's just like a simple like hey, what do you think about this person? You know, like a label like A&R person or whatnot. Or people at this point, I would assume they're coming to you for like interviews and stuff like that. Like, hey, could you interview this artist? Just like, you know, like how is that? Because I'm pretty sure you never would have thought that in high school you would be, you know, in that type of realm.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think it's cool. Like, kind of before I got into music and everything, I used to view it as something so outside of me. Like, I just regarded music as this whole world that was like the coolest, most amazing thing in the world, and I was never like worthy enough to be part of it. And now I'm in a space where it's like a few years later, like some of the biggest like labels and some of my favorite artists are like reaching out to me to do stuff, and people are congratulating me on all this stuff, and people keep telling me that like I'm fucking famous, which just kind of, I still can't really process that. Like, I'm really just a girl. Like, I really don't know what's going on, but it's cool. I think I'm just really grateful, and it feels like it was all like kind of meant to be.
Yeah.
'Cause I just look back at my life and the way that I've loved music my whole life, and the way I used to run a One Direction fan page. I used to like study trivia on my favorite artists when I was younger. Like, looking back on my life, I'm like, this would happen to me. Like, I would be able to do something like this. So yeah, it's really cool. I'm really grateful, and I'm just feeling like really, really optimistic about the future. And I'm just hoping that I can navigate it well. Like, the music industry is a really fucking weird place, full of a lot of weird people, but there's also lots of like incredible people and amazing things happening. So I'm just hoping to navigate everything in the best way that I can, and just do right by my community, because like all of this is happening just because people are like supporting me and like really like showing care to what I do. So as long as I do right by those people, then I'm happy.
How often are labels like major labels like just in your not even saying like to interview people, just like in your DMs asking you stuff like how often are emailing you things like that?
Oh, every day, every day, every single day. I have like 40 emails with all the releases that are coming out. People want me to support their music, and I'm very, very selective with what I take on. Like, it doesn't matter how big an artist is. If I'm not fucking with the music, then it's not happening. But yeah, I've been able to create some really cool relationships with a lot of people at these big labels. And yeah, just as there's like a lot of like weird fake people at labels, there's a lot of really, really incredible people. So I'm grateful for all the relationships. And I'm very proud of how I haven't let any of the major powers of the music industry like manipulate me. Like, I've been able to keep everything very independent and like on my own terms. And yeah, I've learned a lot through it.
Shout out to you. Like I said, coming from freaking I still don't know how to pronounce philosophical, but coming from those roots,
You just pronounced it right there. You
I
killed
I
that.
got it now. I got it now. But
You
coming
got
from
it.
those philosophical roots to now, you're killing it. So keep going. If there's any last words you want to say to the people out there, please let it be known.
My last words to the people are that I love you and I'm grateful, and thank you for taking the time and for your well researched questions. I can tell you like put care into this interview. So thank you. And yeah, this was super fun.
Next time, you gotta remember this. Don't even say where it came from. Don't even. I want this to be public though. Don't even say where it came from. Next time you see Chris Chance, don't tell him where it came from. Just say, "Hey, Sachi." Just call him Sachi. Like Versace, just call him
Oh my
Sachi. Don't
God.
tell him who
Maybe I
told you to say
will.
it though.
I
But
won't tell him. I'll keep it
there
secret.
you go.
That'll be funny.
For,
Yeah, and I'm gonna wait. Do you use Spotify or Apple Music? Because I'm gonna make you a playlist.
I am an Apple Music guy. We're also still recording. So until next time, I say what I mean. I mean what I say. Haters gonna hate, players gonna
Okay,
play. You guys highlight your boy.